Ross Greenwood has been following the events of this week from New York. Ross, it is, of course, the start of a day where we reflect upon what might be ahead. It'll be fascinating to watch the Democrats claw each other's eyes out. It'll be fascinating to watch who Trump's going to start to put into his cabinet. But if the stock market was the next version of the betting markets, they like the result.
They did, and really the stock market took off. But have a look at the Bitcoin price. That was the thing that I watched. Now, of course, Trump has always been a big supporter of cryptocurrency. So was Elon Musk, who has backed him, and as the big winner of the day, no doubt, his wealth went up $15.4 billion because Tesla shares burned. But Bitcoin went through $76,000 US for the very first time, some suggesting it's on its way to 100,000. So in many ways, this is, the way in which people might have, you could argue, gambled on this election result, but it's also the way in which people think that America will prosper under the Trump administration. And you're right about the people that he's now making selections about. Who does he put in? Secretary of Defense Mario Rubio potentially could come back. A guy, got a good story for you, and this is a guy called John Paulson, could be the new Treasury Secretary replacing Janet Yellen. Now, his background's kind of interesting. If you've ever seen that amazing film about the collapse of Wall Street, the global financial crisis, The Big Short. Well, he was one of those guys who was a part of The Big Short and made $3 billion in his hedge fund as a result of it. Well, he could be the new man with the real hands on the tiller of America's economy under the Trump administration. So it's just interesting to see how Trump picks these people, the way in which they then respond to his agenda. But the one thing is that no matter who is appointed, Trump will have his hand right over the top of them because this is his agenda, this is his view of the way in which America's economy can grow into the future and the way in which he can bring manufacturing back into the United States. Because that's what, as you point out, this was about. Ordinary people saying, we do actually want the jobs here. We do want to have the energy here. We do want to have the security here. So these are the things that people ultimately voted for in this election campaign, which is the reason why he's also won the popular vote in this campaign.
Well, and also, don't forget, and by that I'm saying to people paying attention, because obviously Ross knows this stuff sort of inside and out, and it's why we love him, why you got to watch your show each and every day, which is Trump made a promise during the campaign that if you're a company who's currently making something overseas and you brought your business back to America, you would pay a 12% company tax. Like this is dramatically lower than even the lower company taxes that he had promised. But can we get back to Bitcoin for a second? Because for people that are watching who have heard of Bitcoin, it's obviously this alternative currency in the same way that we decided paper had value or gold had value. So what role would Bitcoin, if in the best case scenario for those that want to back it in, what role would it play in an economy? Would you be able to buy a movie ticket with it? Would you be able to buy a car with it? Would it become, in the same way you can hand over 50 pieces of silver, you can hand over X, bits of coin?
Look, I've got a sense it doesn't even do that in the future. I've got a sense that, look, we know that cash is disappearing anyway. It's all about your card and your phone. That's the way people pay. And that's a form of cryptocurrency, if you like, the way in which it's used today. But the reality is it's a store of value, just like gold is a store of value. But he's a backer of Bitcoin, so the reality is that it's going to grow. But there's one other little part about this, is to be able to create new Bitcoins, new cryptocurrencies. Guess what you need? You need big data banks. You need these giant data centers to be able to create that. So you need energy. Guess what sort of energy you need in the United States and around the world? You need nuclear energy. Donald Trump will bring plenty of that back in because this is about making America not just great, but competitive. Now, you talked about that 13% tax rate for companies bringing businesses back onshore. Well, guess what? That is much cheaper than the 30% tax that Australian companies pay. So what's the answer to that? A whole bunch of companies that are multinationals will go, where are we going to make more money? In Australia, where the labour laws are so much tougher? In Australia, where the actual laws on the environment are much tougher? Or are we going to make that money in America? Doesn't matter whether they're making bricks or whether they're making steel or whether they're trying to explore for gas. I mean, really, the gas explorers in Australia, the giant gas companies, don't get a look in Canberra right now. So guess what? When they turn up in Mexico or in the United States, they get treated, they get feted, and they get welcomed for their investment. And that perhaps is a lesson for Australia and its politics into the future.
100%. The logic about a company paying less tax is not about tax avoidance. It's about, as you say, the money that they end up making is that they end up making it via the employment that is created. Thank you, Ross. I really do appreciate it.